My beloved child, if today you are still avoiding my voice, the small wounds in your heart will quietly grow into chains that bind you. I have not come to accuse or punish you, but to place in your hands a blessing that can turn around even what you thought was the final end. I am holding out my hand, simply waiting for you to lift your eyes to me. When you harm your own body, you may not realize that you are cracking the very temple I have made holy within you. I have declared your body as a temple of the Holy Spirit, 1 Corinthians 6:1-9. So why do you allow sorrow to erode that sacred foundation? I did not create you so you would shatter under the weight of your own accusations against yourself, but so you would rise as one who is loved, protected, and healed. And today, I want you to hear my voice more clearly than ever before. You were made to live fully, not merely to exist inside wounds you have not yet dared to name. My child, a temple does not collapse in a moment. It begins with small cracks you dismiss as nothing, the long nights when you blame yourself, the times you forget to care for your own heart, the tears you hide so that you can appear strong. But I see all of it. I know every faint sound of a weary soul. I know the pain that keeps you awake at night. And I know even those moments when you think I have gone silent and left you alone. No, my child, I am still there, holding together each trembling brick of your inner life so that you do not fall apart completely. There are pains that seem small, yet they claw at your peace every single day. You call them weakness, but I call them cries for help that have not yet become words. The temple I have placed within you is not only your body, but also your faith, your hope, and your capacity to rise again after every fall. When you let despair take the seat of honor, when you allow insecurity to lead the way, you are handing over to the darkness the right to redraw the blueprint of your life. But I have breathed my spirit into you so that you belong to the light, not so that you wither under the lies that say you are not good enough, you are not worthy, or you will never truly change. So when you ask, why are you silent when I am in pain? I want you to remember that silence does not mean distance, nor does it mean abandonment. You think I am not acting, but in truth I am rebuilding the foundations, those very foundations you cannot see with your natural eyes. There are times when I must let you walk through the valley of shadows so that the light within you can grow to maturity. There are times when I must let you run out of breath so that you can see it is my breath that truly keeps you alive. And it is right here that the first truth begins to unfold for you, my child. There are moments when you look at my silence and assume I have turned away. Yet in that very moment, I am closer to you than you imagine. I see the doubts rising in your heart. I see fear leading you toward the edge where you want to give up. And I do not condemn you for that, for I know how long the hidden battles have been wearing you down. But my child, do not let passing emotions lead you to a quick conclusion that I have forgotten you, because my silence has never taken the form of separation. I am simply doing what your eyes cannot yet perceive. Just as it is written, I will show you great and hidden things you do not know. Jeremiah 3:3-3. If you look at me only through the tired eyes of this present moment, you will easily mistake my quiet steps for empty space. I want you to remember the most dangerous thing is not that I am silent, but that you allow your heart to be led by voices that do not come from me. My child, there are times when I choose stillness so that your heart can become quiet enough to recognize my voice amid the countless noises of life. When your mind is wrapped in fear, the expectations of others, the pressure to prove yourself, and nameless sadness, you will not be able to hear the gentle breath I still lay upon your soul. That is why I let you walk through long days that seem hopeless, because I want to reorder the priorities in your heart before I pour out the blessing you think you are ready for. If I answered too soon, your heart, still fragile, could be crushed by the very blessing you are asking for. I am working, little by little, in hidden places you cannot see, clearing away what is secretly draining your life, though you mistakenly believe you need it. And in the silence, I am also letting you recognize this truth. Not every echo in your mind is my guidance. Many times it is only the residue of fear, the whisper of exhaustion that the enemy cleverly uses to lead you astray. Therefore, come closer to me. Instead of stepping back when you do not see immediate answers, I do not ask you to be strong in front of me. I want you to be honest enough to let your tears fall into my hands without hiding them. You do not need to understand everything that is happening. You only need to let me guide you through those dim, shadowy places you are afraid to name. When you return to me, your heart will begin to discern what is true and what is false. Which voice is mine and which voice is confusion trying to pull you away from the source of life. I am waiting for you to open your heart, waiting for you to say, Father, I need you. Because in that very moment, I can move more fully in your life. You do not come back to me because I am lacking without you, but because your own soul is in need of a safe harbor where it can be healed after all the old wounds have been stirred up again. And my child, when you come closer to me, you will begin to see what you could not see before. Silence does not make you weaker. It is unhealed pain that wears down your faith day by day. The enemy is always waiting for the moment when you are most exhausted to plant in your heart the thought that I am no longer with you. But do not believe that, for I have never left you. It is precisely when you feel most fragile that I am rebuilding true strength within you, so that you no longer lean on shifting emotions, but learn to stand on unshakable truth. You will realize that not every whisper deserves your attention, and not every weariness comes from me. Then you will see what you are facing is not just silence, but a subtle war against your faith, and you must not let yourself stand alone in that battle. When your heart learns to distinguish light from darkness, you will be ready for me to open your eyes to a deeper reality that the enemy is always trying to use spiritual fatigue to break the faith I planted in you from the very beginning. My child, I see those moments when you sit in stillness, not because you do not want to pray, but because your heart feels so empty that no words can come out. I know this kind of exhaustion is not like ordinary tiredness. It is a slow erosion from within, making you doubt what you once believed and keeping you from expecting good things the way you used to. I have watched you try to hold on to faith with the last of your strength, but each time you struggle to stand, pain pulls you back again, as if to tell you that you do not deserve a new hope. Yet, my child, I do not want you to be deceived by that feeling, because the nature of spiritual weariness is not truth. It is only a thin veil the enemy hangs before your eyes to block the light I am shining toward you. It keeps whispering things that sound so reasonable. Praying won't change anything. God is not listening anymore. You're just trying to comfort yourself. But all of these are whispers designed to choke the spiritual life within you. Remember that pain only becomes a chain when you treat it as a companion. A wound only becomes a prison when you unknowingly make a pact with it, believing your life will always be this way and that nothing can ever change. You know, the enemy has never attacked you most fiercely when you are standing firm. It always waits for the moments when you are wavering, when your heart is worn down, when you begin to doubt yourself, when you are weary. Your mind more easily believes accusations, and your soul becomes more sensitive to the darkness than to the light. It does not come at you with obvious evil, but with the smallest and most familiar thoughts, just as it came to Eve in the garden, not with sword or spear, but with a question that twisted the truth. When you hear thoughts telling you that you are unworthy, that I am too far away, that your prayers are meaningless, that is not my voice. I have never spoken anything meant to drown you in despair. My word always carries life, while the voice of darkness always carries heaviness. That is why I warn you, be careful with the thoughts you consider normal, because sometimes they carry poison more subtle than even the fiercest open attacks. Come closer to me, for you cannot overcome sorrow by trying to stand alone. I did not create you to carry everything until you collapse in loneliness. I want you to lean on me. Even when you feel ashamed of your own weaknesses, when you bring your pain to me, you are not bothering me. You are handing back what was never meant to belong to you in the first place. I never rebuke you for being tired. I hold you so that you may know your body and your soul were never meant to be soil for despair to take root. Let me break, on your behalf, the invisible agreements between you and sadness, between you and disappointment, between you and the words you once carelessly believed. For if you allow yourself to live side by side with bitterness, it will become a distorted lens through which you see everything twisted away from the truth. I am calling you back, not so that you may be scolded, but so that you may be freed from the chains disguised as the phrase, "I'm fine," now that you have tried to wear for so long. My child, when you allow me to step into the dark corners where you have been afraid to open the door, you will rediscover a simple truth you once forgot. Faith is not broken by weakness itself, but by letting weakness linger without leaning on me. Pain, when it is kept hidden, will always try to push hope out of its place, and the enemy knows this very well. But when you allow me to lay my hand upon your wound, it will slowly lose its power. It will no longer define you, no longer use you as an excuse to reject the goodness I long to work in your life. I am calling you back so you will know that you can begin again, that spiritual life can grow again within you, and that you can walk as one covered by grace. I do not look at you through the lens of your failures, but through the image I formed when I breathed life into you, and you are only truly weak when you no longer believe that I am with you. I am opening a way out of the tangled days within your heart, a path that leads you back to the place where you can hear truth more clearly than the screaming of your exhaustion. And then, as you begin to take small steps back into the light, you will realize something. Spiritual resistance is not failure. It is a sign that you are still alive. The enemy only attacks what still carries value. It does not waste time on souls that have already given up. But you do not belong to the darkness, and it knows that very well. If your eyes could see how I have kept your soul through every subtle blow you never even noticed, you would understand why I keep telling you. Do not make a covenant with your pain, for you were destined to walk in the light, not to walk in step with destructive whispers. And as your faith slowly regains its balance, you will begin to recognize another truth, that pain is sometimes only the first step into a deeper journey I am about to lead you on, where you will understand why there are doors I have closed, things I have pruned, and losses that are in fact protection. My child, I know there have been times when you watched a door I closed and your heart tightened as if the most precious thing had just been taken from you. You asked yourself why I allowed what you loved to fall apart, why what was going well suddenly turned unclear, why all your efforts seemed so pointless. I hear every sigh, every word of self-blame, every glance you lift toward the sky without seeing any hope. Yet, my child, not everything that is taken away is a loss. There are things I must close in order to keep you from a turning that you cannot yet see the consequences of. I do not take anything from you to make you suffer. I only remove what could lead you off the path I have consecrated for you. As it is written, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Jeremiah 2:9-1-1. So, trust that every door that closes carries a goodness of intention greater than you imagine. I see the things you have held on to, not because they were right, but because you were so familiar with them that you feared you would feel empty if you let go. You think that every break, every separation is because you lacked faith, but many times it is I myself who touch those places to pull you away from what no longer aligns with your higher purpose. There are connections you have wanted to keep forever, yet you did not know they only drained your energy and bore no fruit for your soul. There are ambitions that look beautiful, but if I allowed them to grow unchecked, they would choke your peace like thorns pressing down on good seed. I do not want you to live a half-hearted life, half-turned toward me, while being pulled backward by outward things. That is why I cut away what you used to call fine, so that you may step into what is truly healthy for your soul. You may not understand it today, but later, when you look back, you will see how many things I saved you from, things you once welcomed with such innocent trust. When I prune you, I know it hurts, because I have to remove from you habits, expectations, relationships, patterns of thinking, and even dreams that you have clung to for many years. But my child, pruning is not punishment. It is the way I make you stronger, deeper, more genuine. The sting of pruning lasts only for a season, but the sweet fruit that comes from it will follow you all your life. If I allowed you to hold on to everything, you would be exhausted and unable to bear fruit. But when I take away what is excessive, you become lighter, freer, and aligned with what I have intended. I do not want you merely to exist. I want you to bring benefit, to bring light, to bring life to those around you. And for that to happen, I must cleanse the hidden corners you have not yet had the courage to touch. When you allow me to prune, you will know that I do it not because I am disappointed in you, but because you are worthy of a whole life, not a patched-together one. Do not define yourself by what has fallen away, for your worth does not lie in what you manage to keep, but in the one who has kept you through every season of brokenness. When you look at the fragments and think that everything is meaningless, I want you to remember that some collapses are simply old foundations that must be removed so I can build again on something more solid. I never take away just to leave an empty space. I take away to sow there something better than you can yet imagine. But if you keep viewing yourself through the lens of loss, you will miss the true meaning woven into my arrangement. You are not abandoned, not condemned, not diminished by your failures. You are being remade, being shaped for maturity. And when you grow calm again, you will realize that the doors which closed were only the beginning of a greater door. I am leading you to a door that not only opens for you to step out of pain, but opens onto a path you never dared to think you were strong enough to walk. And then, when you have taken a few steps on this new journey, you will feel more deeply that every pruning carries meaning, not only to keep you from what is wrong, but to lead you into what is right. You will sense your heart becoming lighter, your vision broader, and your faith steadier, because you understand that my protection does not always come in a pleasant form. I know you are slowly opening your heart, slowly seeing light in what once seemed only loss. And it is precisely then that I can lead you into more mature things. There are lessons you can learn only when you let go, and there are graces that appear only after tears. And as you quietly make it through the season of pruning, your heart begins to be ready to grasp yet another truth, that you were never meant to carry everything on your own. For your true strength is revealed only when you return to lean on me. My child, there are days I see you shrinking back, trying to look fine while your heart is full of silent cries you do not dare to name. You fear that if you admit your weakness, you will be seen as a failure. But my child, it is in that very weakness that I see your true heart. I have never asked you to be a hero. I only want you to be a child who knows how to run home when you are weary. You do not need to strain to prove your strength, for I know each of your limits even before you do. As it is written, my power is made perfect in weakness, 2 Corinthians 1:2-9. You do not realize that the moment you confess your helplessness is the very moment I begin to act most powerfully. If you keep trying to hold everything in silence, your heart will grow heavier and heavier, and loneliness will seep into the very corners I long to fill with my peace. When you gather all responsibility, all worries, all outcomes into your own hands, You do not become stronger, you only become exhausted more quickly. I see you racing with the scenarios in your mind, trying to control every risk, trying to please everyone, trying to walk as if you could hold up the whole sky with your two small hands. But my child, you were not born to face the gray days alone. I never created you to lose yourself in pressure and instability. When you try to prove that you're fine, you unknowingly push yourself farther from my embrace, and that is why your heart feels so heavy. If you would stop, if you would release what is beyond your strength, you would see that I have been standing beside you waiting for a long time. I do not only want to fix your problems, I want to heal the root inside you, the place where fear tells you that you must do everything on your own. Remember, true strength does not come from trying never to fall, but from the courage to open your heart and say to me, I need you. Those words do not make you weaker. They set you free from burdens you were never meant to carry. When you draw near to me, I will place on your shoulders a lighter load. Just as I once declared, come to me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 1:1-8:30. I do not want you drowning in anxiety before the dawn, nor weeping in secret when everyone else is asleep. I want you to understand that you do not have to live and overcome by your own strength. I have prepared new strength for you in every morning, and peace for the hours when you feel undone. If you are willing to turn back and lay your burdens down before me, you will know what true freedom really is. And then, as you learn to hand over to me what you cannot carry, you will begin to perceive something profound. True strength does not spring from hardness, but from trust. When you entrust the journey, the timing, and the outcome into my hands, you will feel your heart grow lighter, as if a fresh wind were rushing into places that have long been without hope. I have never wanted you to walk in the dark alone. I want you to know that I go with you in every smallest step. What you call weakness, I call an opportunity to draw nearer to you. What you call failure, I call the beginning of restoration. And when you stand firm again on a new foundation, a foundation not built on strain or control but on reliance, you will see your spirit has been readied to grasp an even greater truth. Your life is not a chain of failures, but a chain of times when I have intervened and upheld you through each season. My child, I know that many times you have looked at your life through the lens of failure and thought you had nothing of worth to be proud of. You have allowed the words of others, comparisons, indifferent glances, and even old stumblings to become the measure of your value. But my child, you are shrinking what I placed in you from the very beginning. I have never looked at you with a condemning gaze. I look at you with the eyes of one who knows every battle you have had to walk through. When you bow your head in shame, I long to lift your head and remind you I chose you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Jeremiah 1:5. Your value does not come from achievements, but from the one who breathed life into you. And when you allow me to see you as you truly are, you will realize that your life has never been the string of failures you imagined. I see the places where you have been rejected, the times you were belittled or misunderstood, and I know how deep that pain goes. But my child, those wounds do not ruin the calling I have for you. On the contrary, I use precisely the parts you consider less than to reveal my glory. You think you have been left behind, but in truth I am leading you through a process of growth that cannot be compared with anyone else's. I guide each person on a different path, and your path does not depend on the world's approval. I alone determine the timing, the opportunities, and the opening of the way before you. When people make conclusions about you, not a single second of the plan I have written for you is changed. If you could see how I have used those once rejected in Scripture to accomplish great things, you would understand that rejection is never the final period for the Almighty. I do not see a failure. I see a child being prepared to step into something greater. There are blessings in your life that cannot be seen with natural eyes. that depth you have gained after seasons of refining fire, that capacity for compassion which only those who have suffered can carry, that perseverance which only those who have fallen and stood up many times can truly understand. You bear fruits that not everyone can see, because they are not as noisy as outward successes, yet they are far more precious. I have seen your faith grow deeper when you were forced to trust me in the midst of uncertainty. I have heard the prayers you whisper in the darkness when no one knows, and it is those very words that have moved heaven. So, my child, do not be quick to judge yourself by what you have not yet achieved. Instead, look at what I am building within you through each trial, quietly, yet full of power. You think you have stopped, but in the deepest place of your soul, you are growing in ways you do not even realize. Step out of the invisible race that the world has set before you, the race of achievement, of comparison, of having to prove that you are good enough. You do not need to compete to have value. You were loved before you ever accomplished anything. You do not need to get ahead of others to be worthy of acceptance. You were chosen long before you even knew yourself. When you begin to see your life through my eyes, you will know that every step, whether slow or fast, lies within the path I have already traced. You do not have to run to keep up with anyone, because you are not on the same road they are. You simply need to walk in the direction I lead, and you will see that each failure is not a final, full stop, but the place where I raise up a new chapter, a chapter where my light will shine more clearly than any success you have ever dreamed of. And when you understand this, you will realize that your whole journey is a collection of the times I have intervened, upheld, kept, and healed you, not a chain of moments when you stumbled alone. In every place where you thought you were off course, I was realigning your steps. In every place where you thought you were forsaken, I was there. In every place where you thought everything was meaningless, I was planting seeds for the coming season. And you will see that your life no longer runs according to the standards of this world. It is being turned toward the standards of heaven, lighter, truer, and filled with more grace. When you look at yourself through my eyes, you will realize you have never lost your value, not even for a single second, and then you will be ready to step into what I have prepared, a place of calling, restoration, and purpose, where you do not merely exist, but live as one who has been loved, chosen, and prepared to touch the lives of others in ways you never thought possible. My child, I do not desire to see you living with sadness as if it were your closest friend, nor do I want you to treat pain as the final shelter of your life. I am calling you to step out of that place, not to sign any agreement with your wounds, not to let them become the identity and destiny you attach to yourself. Sorrow may knock on your door. It may pass by, but it has no right to take root and pitch its tent in your soul. It is not allowed to decide who you are or where you will go. The enemy keeps whispering in your ear, things will always be like this. You will never change. This is your final limit, and it wants you to believe that these heavy days are the last chapter I am writing for you. Until you are so exhausted, you no longer have the strength to lift your eyes. But I am the one who has seen the whole of your life from beginning to end. I know every chapter you have walked through, and every chapter you have not yet read. And I say to you in love, this is not the end. This is not a verdict. This is only a stretch of road that I will use to deepen the roots of faith within you. I do not write your life with the ink of disappointment, but with grace and mercy. I do not use full stops to put out hope, but commas to pause for a moment, heal you, and then continue the story that is still unfinished. Therefore, be careful with the voices surrounding you, especially those that pull you away from me, away from truth, away from remembering whose child you are. Any thought that only makes you heavier, more paralyzed, more ready to give up, and does not draw you closer to me, is not my voice. My child, do not let your mind become soil where doubt, self-accusation, and self-contempt are sown day after day until they grow into a dark forest that blocks every ray of light I am sending. Do not let the words of those who have lost sight of my power and my goodness become the standard by which you measure yourself. For when people see everything only through the eyes of the flesh and the lens of their own wounded experience, they will unintentionally speak words that strangle hope, even when they think they are being realistic or caring. I am not telling you to withdraw from everyone, but I am teaching you to guard your heart and to choose who is allowed to speak deeply into your soul. You cannot let every voice stand on the same level as mine. Be wise to step away from conversations that revolve around pessimism, complaining, comparison, and self-pity, for they will gradually weaken the strength within you that I myself have built over the years. Instead, seek out and stay close to those who remind you that I am still at work, who remind you of the times I have rescued you, who remind you of the words I have promised and never forgotten, those with whom, when you speak, the small flame in your heart is rekindled rather than extinguished. I have placed within my body people of faith, hearts that know how to pray, brothers and sisters who know how to uphold, comfort, share, and point you back to my word instead of pulling you deeper into passing emotions. I want you to find again a community where you can be honest about your wounds and still be directed toward hope, where you can weep yet are not left alone in your tears, where you hear words that build up instead of judgments or helpless sighs. You need counsel, but above all you need living words from me. You need understanding, but more importantly, you need right guidance so that you do not drift along with currents of negative thought. Those whom I send to strengthen you will not thicken the darkness inside you. They will not feed fear or bitterness in your heart. Instead, they will take your hand, lift your gaze with you, and remind you that I am still the one who authors the story, whether you understand what is happening or not. And my child, the deepest thing your soul is lacking is not another explanation, not another how to overcome formula, nor another detailed plan for the future. What you are truly thirsting for is a living, steadfast, intimate relationship with me. Temporary solutions may make you feel lighter for a moment, like a passing breeze that cools the heat. But only a true attachment to me will give you an unfailing spring of water, enabling you to keep walking even when the road ahead still has many bends. When you sink your roots deep in me, storms may knock many things down around you, but they cannot uproot you. When you learn to pour out your heart before me each day, sadness may still come, but it no longer has the right to close the door of hope. I know very clearly what is making your mind sway. I see even the worries you do not dare to voice because you fear others will not understand. Fear being judged as weak, fear being looked down on. I listen even to the sighs you think no one cares about. I know every time you toss and turn, afraid that tomorrow will look exactly like yesterday. I know the moments you pretend to smile to keep others at peace while inside you are empty. I also see how you hold not only your own pain, but also the burdens of those you love, your family, your children, your relatives, your friends. You feel as though you must be the support for everyone, and so you refuse to allow yourself to fall. But my child, do you know that I have never called you to be the savior of anyone? I have only called you to love, to be faithful, and to lean on me, the rescuing, restoring, healing, and making a way that is my part. You are weary because you have taken into your hands what belongs to mine. You are heavy because you are holding things far beyond your strength. I deeply honor your sense of responsibility and your sacrifice, but I do not want to see you drained while I am here, ready to carry these things with you. I do not blame you for having tried so hard. I am simply inviting you to let go of some of it so that I have room to act. Bring all your concerns about your family, your future, your work, your health, your relationships before me, and speak to me about each one with utmost honesty, like a child coming to their father, not like a soldier reporting to a commander. I will not laugh at you because you are afraid. I will not turn my face away from you because you are weak. On the contrary, it is precisely when you acknowledge your limitations that I draw even nearer to you. You often think this battle is only about your own emotions and thoughts, but in reality, it affects your whole household. The atmosphere of peace at every meal, every evening, every word you give to your loved ones. When you are choked by weariness and sorrow, those beside you are also affected, even if they are not fully aware of it. That is why I desire to heal you, not only for your sake, but for the sake of those you love. When you are lifted up, the environment around you is also lifted. When you find your peace again in me, the sky over your family also grows brighter. So do not underestimate the value of returning to me. Do not think it is only a private matter between you and me. It is the key that opens a new flow of peace over everything that belongs to you. I am there, in the very place where you think you are enduring alone, and I want you to know that you no longer have to stand stubbornly in the storm by yourself, because I have already stepped into that storm with you, my child. In the moments when you feel that nothing can shake the wall surrounding your heart, I want you to know that it is precisely in your driest hours that I am whispering things that only a seeking soul can perceive. Do not think that the days you walk through desolation are punishment or abandonment. In truth, they are the ground where I separate you from every noise, so that your heart has only one sound left to discern my voice. You have always thought that faith grows in places of ease, yet you do not realize that it is along the uneasy stretches, in the evenings when you want to quit, in the questions that find no answer, that your faith sends its roots deeper than ever. Maturity does not come from strings of days with the wind at your back, but from the moments when you think you cannot endure and still choose to trust me. I know it is not easy for you to get through seasons of drought. I know that at times you are so tired you only want to let go, to let everything drift with the current and stop resisting. But my child, it is precisely in those moments that your heart is truly being prepared to touch a deeper layer of my nature, a depth that those who remain only in comfort will never understand. I want you to realize that life is not made only of bright chapters. Sometimes it is quiet lines of text, unexpected turns, and pages damp with tears. Yet, on every such page, I am still writing. And if you could see how gently my hand is moving over your life, you would be less afraid of those chapters that lack light. You so often carry too many burdens, responsibilities you are afraid to release, lest someone be hurt. Expectations you fear laying down, lest others be disappointed. Wounds you think will tear your heart further if ever named again. You do not understand that I have never called you to carry everything alone. There are things I have long intended to bear in your place, yet you cling to them as though they were the only duty you can fulfill. I do not blame you for this. I know you are only trying to do what is right, to do well, to keep anyone from being troubled. But, my child, when your hands are gripping too many things, they cannot open to receive what I long to place in them. You cannot receive my peace if your heart is already filled with anxieties. You cannot receive my guidance if you believe you must manage everything on your own. I want you to know that when you are exhausted from trying to carry everything by yourself, it is not proof of your weakness but a signal that you need to hand every burden back to me. I did not create you to be a vessel holding all fear. I created you to know the freedom of a soul that lets itself rest in the arms of the Almighty. I know you have tried to mend every wrong by your own strength, to heal the hurts, to repair fractured relationships, to explain what no one understands, to prove yourself even when you are so weary you only want to lie down without another word. But my child, not every place is yours to fix. There are things only I can touch and restore. You imagine you must hurry to resolve everything, as though if you do not, it will all collapse. Yet you do not see that I am still holding each stone, so it does not fall on you. You do not always see how I am acting, but that does not mean I am still. I am still moving in the silence, making a way in places you see as dead ends, upholding what you think can no longer be saved. I never ask you to manage life alone, for I am your keeper, your source of life, the cool stream running through the barren places of your soul. Only when you stop, when you let go, when you look to me instead of to the chaos, will you begin to see how my hand is at work. You often ask me, why is everything taking so long? Why have my prayers not been answered? Why do I try and still see no results? You do not realize that my time is not like your time, and my work is not driven by anyone's urgency. There are seasons when I intentionally allow you to wait, not to test you, but to make you stronger, more steadfast, and deeper. Waiting is not emptiness. Waiting is a process. When your heart feels heavy from waiting, remember that roots do not grow in the storm. Roots grow in the quiet. In the same way, your faith does not grow in easy seasons, but in the days when you stand at a crossroads, not knowing where to go, and still hold on to the belief that I am leading. I want you to know that even when your eyes see nothing moving, heaven is still working on your behalf. Everything I arrange carries purpose. Every door I open has a reason, and so does every door I close. Do not let fear deceive you into thinking the heavens are shutting before your eyes. Do not think that silence means you have been forgotten. I have never turned my back on any child who has called to me from the depths of exhaustion. When you hear nothing, it is not because I am not speaking. Sometimes it is because you must remain still longer to hear the very sound I am sending you. Walk as one who has hope, for hope does not come from circumstances, but from the one who dwells within you. I have never built your life on chance. I have always laid its foundation with intention, and once I have set my intent for your life, no power can thwart it. I want you to hold this truth in every step you take. My hand never leaves you. So, keep moving forward, even if your legs are still trembling. Take one more step, even when you cannot yet see the road opening. Do not rush to judge the future by the feelings of the present. Do not assume that because tonight resembles last night, tomorrow will also remain unchanged. You do not know that in a single moment of my touch, everything can change. You cannot see the door, but I am holding the key. You do not know the way out, but I, myself, am the way. You do not know how to get through, but I have already gone before you. You only need to cling to me, to keep your faith, to place your trembling hands into mine, and I will take care of the rest. I have never begun anything I did not finish, and I have never led a child halfway only to abandon them. You will understand it all when you look back. There are things today you cannot yet understand, accept, or even name. But later, when my light shines upon them, you will see the whole journey as a chain of gentle interventions I prepared for you. You will see that I never abandoned you, even when you had abandoned yourself, and you will be grateful that you did not give up, that you chose to trust me, even when everything within you cried out that there was no more hope. You will recognize that every weight, every tear, every fatigue, every time you fell and rose again was never in vain. They have made you into someone stronger than the world can see. They have made you more like me in the way you love, endure, and walk through trials. And that is why I do not want you to lose heart. I am accompanying you in every heartbeat, every step. Every breath you feel is nothing more than survival. You are not alone, have never been alone, and will never have to be alone. My child, come closer still, for I know your heart is trembling on the boundary between continuing and giving up, between fragile hope and fear that presses upon your every breath. But my child, everything you have sown in faithfulness, every prayer you have uttered with perseverance, even as your hands trembled, every step you have taken through long, tearful days, all of it has been noticed and cherished by me, and not one part of it falls to the ground in vain. You think you have gone too far, passed through too many failures, borne so many wounds that rising again is nearly impossible. Yet I see clearly every small but courageous step you have taken in the dark. These very things are coming together to form the recompense I am about to place in your hands, not only in the form of an answer or a miracle you have longed for, but as a deep transformation within your soul, like gold refined by fire, clearer, more enduring, and carrying a worth you never realized you bore. Therefore, do not turn back now. You are closer to the breaking of dawn than you think. And if you could see the distance between today and the day I am preparing to make a way, you would not hesitate to embrace the hope I am softly sowing into your heart. You have asked me many times, why must I wait so long? Why is what I long for delayed? And my child, I know you are not disappointed in me. You are disappointed because you fear you are not strong enough to wait even one more day. But understand this, I have never allowed delay to become abandonment. I use time only to shape you, to widen your heart, to mature you so that when the answer comes, you will not be crushed under the very blessing you receive. I do not want you merely to receive an answer. I want you to be large enough, deep enough, and stable enough to enter the new season whole without fear, without trembling, and no longer carrying the old fragments you once tried to hide. I am using this very trial to restore your capacity to trust, to draw you out of the corners you speak of to no one, to heal the wounds you thought had closed yet still throb in the night. You are not wandering in circles. You are walking the very path I have intentionally led you on so that you might discover the new person I am forming within you. What I speak to you today is not a push or a threat-laden warning. These are the words of a father who knows well that you are standing at one of the most significant crossroads of your spiritual journey. This is the moment I am waiting for your full surrender, not because I need it to prove anything, but because you yourself need to step into the safe place where I can act without being hindered by your fear, your doubt, or the things you insist on keeping for yourself. I have called you many times through small signs, through the peace in your heart, through gentle nudges, and even through upheavals that made you look back at yourself. Yet you often evade me, not because you are against me, but because you are not yet ready to let go completely. You still fear loss, and you fear what might happen if you place all control into my hands. But my child, surrender does not make you lose anything. It helps you recover what you have dropped along the way while trying to carry the whole world on your own. I do not blame you. I only want you to stop running, to stop striving in your own strength, so that I may do the part that only I can do. Today, I am bringing you to one of the last opportunities of this season to open your heart at its deepest level, to let me into the places you once locked away for fear of being hurt again. Stop for a moment. My child, truly stop. Do not hurry. Do not run after fear. Do not let the noise in your mind lead you even one step further. Sit down and listen, for I am speaking to you in the silence you so often overlook. I am surrounding you with my presence, a presence so gentle that you only recognize it when you stop striving and allow yourself to breathe. When you are still before me, you will see something you have never seen before. You are not as alone as you have always believed. I am opening within your heart a new door, a door that leads you into a peace you could never produce by any effort of your own. I am setting before you a path that no one can shut, a path that only I have the authority to open. Just as I once spoke through the prophet, I am the one who makes a way through the sea and rivers in the desert. If I could part the sea for my people to pass through, I can also turn around the circumstances that are wearing you out and take what seemed ruined and make it a radiant testimony in my hands. You do not know this, but in the very places where you feel most abandoned, I am doing my deepest work of restoration. I do not mend you through condemnation. I restore you by grace, by a kindness that overcomes every old regret in you. I am the one who lifts the fallen out of the dust, the one who gathers the fragments the world calls useless, the one who crowns the humble with a glory that nothing can ever take away. The words I speak to you today are not meant only to soothe you for a moment. They are my confirmation that the old season has ended, that I am arranging something new right before you. You have suffered enough for an old journey to come to a close, enough for past wounds to no longer dictate the course of your life. Now is the time for you to prepare your heart for something completely new. For my intervention is closer than you think, and no power can stop it once I have determined to act. And my child, before that newness fully unfolds, there is something I need you to understand deeply. I am not only changing the circumstances around you, I am changing you from the inside out. If only your situation changes, but your heart still carries the old fears. The same battles will repeat, but when I renew you, how you see, how you feel, how you believe, how you walk, then every door I open will be received by you in true freedom. I do not want you to step into the future with the weary stride of someone exhausted. I want you to enter it as one who has been healed, upheld, and prepared. I do not merely want to help you survive. I want you to become a living testimony of how I turn ashes into glory. What is coming is not a reward because you are worthy by the standards of this world, but my response to a child who has remained faithful in hardship, who has not run away from me even when you understood nothing of what was happening. When I say, "You have suffered enough," it is not a shallow consolation. It is the declaration of a season I am now rearranging. It is a season in which tears will no longer be your only language, but joy will begin to speak. It is a season in which former losses will no longer be open, bleeding wounds, but become pathways that help you understand my heart more clearly. Prepare your heart. For the next page I am writing for, you will look nothing like the chapters that came before, and you will look back on this very moment with gratitude, because it is exactly when you were about to let go that I drew you close and set you into a new chapter with a gentleness only a father could have for his child. I am here, and I have never once left you, not even for a moment. You take the next step, for I will take care of the rest. The new thing is coming, and it comes from my hand. All I ask is that you place your small hand into mine, and I will lead you through every wave that threatens to swallow you. Stand firm, my child, for the dawn you have been waiting for is very near. I promise you this, what I am preparing for you will make you understand why every tear you shed was not wasted, for they have carried you to the very moment I am now opening before you. My child, open your heart wide and let every word I am speaking settle deep into the core of your spirit, because there are heavenly realities you have never seen with your natural eyes. Yet I have been accomplishing them for you for a very long time. There are battles you believed you lost, when in reality I stood in front of you, turned the tide, and extinguished schemes you never even saw taking shape. You only saw the surface of the problem, while I saw the root where darkness secretly tried to touch you. There are battles you think are just beginning, when in truth, the victory has already been sealed in eternity. Because I spoke a word long before you knew how to ask. You often ask why the outcome does not arrive when you expect it, why your prayers seem to strike a vast, silent void, but you do not realize that some things must be rearranged, not in the outward situation, but in the depths of your own heart, where I desire to lay a firmer foundation, so that when blessing comes, it does not become a weight that crushes you. I never give anything to harm you. I give to lift you higher, to grow you, to make you stronger than the version of yourself from yesterday. And because of that, I will not place into your hands what exceeds your capacity to carry before your heart has sunk its roots deeply enough into me. If I were to hastily give you what you are not yet ready for, that very blessing would turn into a burden. But if I delay in order to train your heart, then, when my appointed time comes, you will stand firm and will not be shaken by the upheavals the enemy tries to set against you. You must understand that everything about to unfold in your life is far greater than you imagine. It is not a small consolation prize to comfort you, but a manifestation of glory that will cause every step you take to be guided by the purpose I have ordained. Yet to receive this, your spirit must stand upon rock and not upon the sand of shifting emotions. Your roots must be anchored in me, not in the plans you build for yourself, nor in your own strength, with which you continually try to manage everything in the way you think is safest. If you keep placing your hope in the fragile things this world promises, you will be disappointed. But if you place your hope in me, you will stand firm against the fiercest winds. You cannot step into a new season of blessing with old ways of thinking, old defenses, and old measures of your own worth. I want you to grow from the inside, so that the blessings will not overwhelm you, but become the driving force that moves you farther. You must know that apart from my keeping, no place can be a true refuge. Your safety does not lie in the doors you struggle to close or the plans you clutch tightly, but in my hand, the hand that has never dropped a single soul who sought shelter in me. When I declare that I am a fortress, strong, those words are not merely symbolic language. They are a truth proven across generations of those who have trusted in me. Remember this: the obstacles you are about to face are not meant to block you, but to reveal the strength I have placed within you. They will come in many forms, as voices that stir your doubts, as circumstances that weary you, as closed doors that leave you confused. But you do not need to respond with panic or rush to find an escape, nor chase after solutions that only tangle your heart further, because human strategies alone can never free you from the pressure that weighs on you. I want your soul to learn how to pause, how to breathe, how to let me lead without trying to take control of what does not belong to your part. When you react out of fear, you unintentionally enlarge the shadow of the problem, making it seem bigger than it really is. But when you turn your gaze toward me, everything immediately returns to its proper place. I want you to learn to live in such dependence that when the storm comes, your heart does not sway, but rests in peace, knowing that I am in that very boat with you. You do not need to chase the vague counsel of the world, nor lean on the calculations that have drained you so many times. You simply need to bring your spirit back to the one true direction toward me. Believe this as a solid truth: I never fail. Not one of my plans is left unfinished. Not one of my promises is forgotten midway. Not one of my interventions arrives too late for those who place their whole hearts in me. I do not act according to the timing you desire. I act in the timing that is best for you, the moment when inward maturity has formed enough for you to receive what I am about to give. You once mistook delay for silence, yet my silence is often the sign that I am preparing something far greater, beyond anything you have expected. I do not merely help you by solving the immediate problem before you. I help you by transforming the very depths within you, the place that determines who you will become in the years ahead. You may watch time pass and think that I am late, but I want you to know this: everything is measured precisely by eternal wisdom. I do not come early, nor do I come late. I come at the very moment that will cause the greatest blossoming in your life. Therefore, my child, in this season, when the waiting feels long, when your petitions seem unanswered, When the future feels uncertain and you wonder whether you are even on the right path, I want you to learn how to place your trembling hand into mine. I want you to know that you are not wasting time. You are being prepared. You are not being delayed. You are being nourished. You are not standing still. You are being shaped by things you cannot yet see. And the day will come when you look back over the road you have traveled and say, "Father, you truly never left me for even a single minute. What I am leading you into is not something small, but something abundant, a life of purpose, strength, and glory, a life in which you will reflect my goodness as a mirror reflects the sun. My beloved child, I have watched you through every difficult stretch of the road you have walked. And I know better than anyone the times you trembled in the dark, yet kept moving forward because you did not want to disappoint those who were counting on you. I have seen every moment you tried to stand even when your legs shook. And I have seen the forced smile you wore to hide wounds that had not yet had time to heal. You thought that if you could just be a little stronger, you would make it through. But you did not realize that this continual forcing of yourself was draining the very breath from your soul. I have been lifting you in silence every time you thought you were down to your last ounce of strength, and I have held your heart back from collapsing in those hours when nothing seemed to remain to support you. But my child, the journey you are on does not only require courage, it requires that you learn to lean on me more, to believe that not every battle demands that you charge alone. You have become so accustomed to taking care of yourself that you have forgotten I never placed you in this life to fight by yourself. I formed you with the capacity to love, to endure, and to persevere. But I also created you with the need to lean, to be sheltered, and to be accompanied. This is not a sign of weakness, but my sacred design for your soul. You have gone through so many moments when you were pushed to the point of exhaustion, hardly daring to breathe for fear that you would shatter. And I know you think that is the way to prove yourself. But my child, I have never asked you to prove anything at all. I love you not because of how strong you are, but because you belong to me. What breaks my heart is not the difficulties you have to face, but the way you try to carry everything alone without calling on me even once. I see you lifting your eyes toward the sky, not daring to ask why, because you are afraid that if you open your mouth, every defense inside you will crumble. I also know there are nights when you lie still, eyes wide open in the dark, simply because your heart is bearing things you do not know how to share with anyone. You think I have been silent, but in truth, I am waiting for you to return, so that I can place my hand on your weary shoulders and say, "You do not have to carry this on your own." There are forms of weariness that do not show on your face, yet they gnaw away at your mind and slowly make you lose confidence in the things you once held as certain. You begin to doubt your abilities, to doubt your worth, to doubt even the promises I have spoken over you. You are afraid that you are no longer worthy, afraid that your recent failures are proof that I have withdrawn my hand from your life. But I want you to hear me clearly. Not a single one of your failures can shake the plan I have laid out. Only the lies that come from exhaustion make you think so. When your soul is worn down by tension, your emotions become more easily led by fear than by truth. And it is precisely in that moment that the enemy comes quietly, without noise, without threats, only whispering small thoughts aimed straight at your most vulnerable place. He knows that if he can get you to believe even one lie, you will slowly let go of the very things that once kept you standing firm. He does not need to launch a fierce attack. He only needs to sow into your heart the thought, "God is not listening to me anymore." My beloved child, I do not speak these things to frighten you, but to awaken you, to help you recognize that spiritual weariness is more dangerous than any physical pain. A tired body can recover with rest, but when your spirit is drained, you begin to lose sight of who you truly are in me. You start to see yourself as smaller, weaker, more useless, and you mistake that for truth. Yet you do not realize that it is only a film of dust over your eyes after too many days without rest, too many nights without sleep, too many expectations you have put on yourself that I never created for you to carry. That is exactly when I want you to lay everything down. Not to give up, but to make room for me to lift you up. I am waiting for that moment, waiting for you to pause for just a few minutes, turn inward, and say, Father, I have no strength left. You cannot begin to imagine the fullness of my power until you entrust to me the very things you are still trying to hold on to with trembling hands. I have never let anyone come to me and leave empty-handed. The moment you think of me, you are already touching deliverance. The moment you call on me, you are already touching restoration. The moment you return to me, you are already stepping into the safe place where no power can violate you. But for these things to unfold, you must let go. Not let go of your life, but let go of what you cannot and should not control. Let go of fear. Let go of self-condemnation. Let go of shame. Let go of the burden of having to be perfect. Let go of the need to please everyone. When you release these things, you open the door for me to enter. When you release them, you begin to realize that it was never my silence, but the noise of your own heart that kept you from hearing me. I know you have made yourself believe that being strong means needing no one, that being brave means never crying, that being mature means never showing weakness. But my child, those are false armors that the world has wrapped around you. They make you rigid, cold, distant from your own heart and distant from me. You do not have to live inside that mold. I have seen the way your eyes have tried again and again to hide what is breaking inside you. I do not want you to turn yourself into a lonely fortress. I want you to be a child who can rest your head upon your father's chest without having to pretend to be steady. It is precisely when you bow your head and feel weak that I become the strength you need. It is precisely when you stop because you are exhausted that I lift you to your feet. It is precisely when you think you have nothing left to go on with that I restore meaning to every step you take. And my child, do not forget what I have long engraved. There has not been a single moment in your journey when I turned my face away. Even when you think you are most alone, I am walking right beside you. Even when you cannot feel me, I am still covering you with my grace. Not every moment of silence is distance. Often it is when I am doing my deepest work in you, recreating what you thought had decayed beyond repair. I do not wait for you to become strong enough to come to me. I come to you precisely when you are at your weakest. I do not wait until you know the way before I lead you. I take your hand even before you open your eyes to ask me for direction. Your whole life has never been a series of days in which I stood outside watching you struggle. Your whole life is the evidence of all the times I have guarded you, upheld you, and rescued you from things you did not even know you were facing. So do not be afraid when you walk into this season of weariness. I am here, ready to carry the part that you cannot, ready to push back the lies that surround you, ready to touch the deepest wounds you thought no one could touch. If you will give me room, you will see that I do not only bring strength, but also bring a fresh newness to your soul. Like rain softening parched ground, I will restore life within you, renew your hope, and bring you back to the true nature I placed in you, strong yet tender, persevering yet dependent, courageous yet never alone. And when you begin to walk in my strength and not your own, the enemy will no longer find a place to strike, for your soul will be anchored in a peace that no power can break. My child, let me speak to you with all the tenderness, yet full authority of a father who has seen every turn in your life ahead of time. When weariness seeps into your soul, and you allow it to settle in a place that does not belong to it, you begin to feel as if the world is slowly losing its color, as if the things that once mattered suddenly become strange, and as if the rhythm of your heart no longer moves in step with mine. Exhaustion does not crash in violently, it arrives little by little, quietly, like the night dew clinging to your hair, silently cooling the flame I have lit within you. You begin to ask questions you never imagined before. Is it worth it? Is anyone really hearing my prayers? Have I misunderstood the things you were leading me into? And it is precisely within those questions that the darkness looks for an opening, slipping through the smallest cracks in your heart. It is not because you are weaker than my other children, but because you have endured for too long without allowing me to share your burden, so that what was once only a light breeze turns into a storm within your soul. When your hand loosens its grip on mine, it is not that I leave you, but that you step by yourself onto slippery ground, where every step becomes unsteady, and you no longer feel the gentle guidance I have woven into each one of your steps. It is precisely when you feel yourself reeling that those who oppose you, not of flesh and blood, but of the powers of darkness, seek to come closer. They do not see you as a lone individual. They see the radiance of God resting upon you, the heavenly seal I have engraved on your soul, the choosing I have placed on your life. And it is that very light that unsettles them, makes them tremble, and drives them to try to extinguish that flame at any cost. That is why they do not come with loud noise. My child, they come with whispers that seem harmless, with thoughts you assume are your own ideas, with arguments that sound reasonable, yet sow doubt, with painful memories stirred up again to make you believe you are worthless. They confuse you through betrayals you never expected, wound you with words sharp as knives, and unsettle you with situations that shake your trust in yourself and in me. Every lie they sow into your heart targets the deepest thing within you, the flame I planted in you before you even knew what to call life. That flame is faith, expectation, inner strength, awareness of your worth, the reminder that you belong to me. Darkness cannot bear the light. So, when it sees the light shining from you, it seeks to make you doubt that very source. It makes you think you are out of place, that you are not enough, that your voice carries no weight, that your prayers do not reach heaven. But my child, that has never been the truth. You are the child I guard with the whole heart of the Creator. You are not merely a small soul wandering through life. You are a living testimony of my presence in a world full of upheaval. You carry a light that only heaven can give. And for that reason, darkness tries in every way to make you forget it, doubt it, or hide from it. Today I want you to listen closely to my words, because this is a truth no power can deny, no adversary can ever fully defeat you. Because I, the Almighty who created heaven and earth, am with you. My presence does not depend on the emotions you are feeling, is not limited by the thoughts you are facing, and does not fluctuate with the circumstances you are going through. Even when you tremble, I remain steady. Even when you doubt, I remain sure. Even when you are afraid, I remain strong. Even when you lose your way, I still know the path. Even when you are silent, I still hear the cry of your heart. Even when you are weary, I still uphold you. Even when you fall, I still lift you up. Nothing you go through can keep me from drawing near. No pain makes me step back. No sin is greater than my love for you. No failure is so deep that I cannot reach it. No torment is so strong that it can pull you from my arms. You may forget me in the middle of the storm, but I never take my eyes off you, not even for a moment. Remember, my child, that darkness is only strong when you believe in it, while my light is powerful even when you cannot see it. Every breath you still draw in this body is proof that I have not given up on you, for I did not create you for darkness to claim. I know there are days when you feel as if you are losing the battle, as if you cannot go on another minute, as if your cries cannot even reach beyond the ceiling. But my child, do not mistake silence for defeat. Sometimes silence is the battle line I draw to shield you from things you are not yet strong enough to face. Do not think you must tear down that door of silence to find me. Sometimes you only need to stand still in the darkness for a while, so you can hear more clearly the sound of my call. You do not have to struggle to hold on to me, for it is I who first hold on to you. Those who oppose you may attack your faith, but they cannot touch the truth I have inscribed upon your soul. Your faith may be shaken, but the truth that I love you, have chosen you, and am with you can never be altered. Lean on me, my child. When you lean on me, lies will lose their power, whispers will grow faint, and shadows will have to retreat. For my light has never grown dim. You cannot walk through this battle alone, but neither are you required to. I am here, stronger than any who would harm you, nearer than anything you can imagine, more faithful than every promise on this earth. And whatever may happen, I say this to you in all truth, you will never be defeated as long as you remain in my hands. There will be times when you fall, but you will be lifted up, times when you are afraid, but you will be comforted, times when you are weak. But I will make you strong, times when you are confused, but I will become your place of rest. And then, when the battle has passed, you will see that everything that once tried to bring you down has only made you stand firmer in the light I placed in your soul from the beginning. You yourself are the living proof that darkness never has the final word. Only I do. And I declare that you belong to me today, tomorrow, and forever. My child, listen closely to me, for the words I am about to speak are not meant for momentary comfort, but to reset the foundations within you, so that what I have sown in your soul will take root deeper than all the noise of this life. I am the one who fights for you, who stands between you and every accusation the world, or even you yourself, may hurl against you. The one who sees through the battles that no one else knows you are facing. When you feel so desperate that you have no strength left to pray, I am still holding back what could crush you when you think you have been abandoned. I am building an invisible hedge so that the enemy cannot touch your soul. You will not always see what I am doing, but I want you to know that my hand never leaves your life. Not even for a blink of an eye. You may feel as though everything is collapsing, yet I am repositioning you, moving the old things out of your way to make room for the new that you could never have imagined. I see ahead where you see only emptiness. I know what will bring life to you and what will cause you to lose your way. I know the moments when you need to rest and the moments when you need to be lifted so you can keep walking. You think you are losing, but in truth you are being repositioned, pulled out of battlefields that were never meant for you, so that you may stand in the chosen place within the plan I have long prepared. Therefore, do not lose heart, even when delay tightens your chest and makes you think I am silent to test you. I never test you by abandoning you. I only lead you into silence so that you may learn to hear my voice more clearly, so you may stop chasing the voice of fear and sit down upon the foundation of peace I have prepared for you. You often want to act at once, to see immediate results so that you can feel safe. Yet you do not realize that hasty actions taken while your soul is not yet still can lead you off the path I have set apart for you. You do not know how many times I have saved you from impulsive decisions, from turnings that seemed reasonable, yet would have led you into dark places where I was not. My child, the silence to which I call you is not passivity. It is the rest of a heart that knows for certain that its Father still reigns and is still working all things for the greatest good. When you are willing to sit down, to stop struggling, to let me guide instead of trying to manage everything yourself, your heart will open wide to receive the peace you have always longed for, yet seldom found. I will bring answers to you, not the kind that satisfy you for a brief moment, but the kind that can change the entire course of your life. You do not know how many times I have reshaped your path through a small event, a chance meeting, a door closing right before your eyes, and yet each one was my intervention to bring you where you needed to be. I do not do trivial things. I act in power. When I open a door, no one can shut it. When I move, no power can hinder me. When I speak, it becomes reality. Some of my answers may look like delay, but in truth, they are arrangement. My way of rearranging every piece of your life so that, in the end, they form a picture that will make you exclaim, "If it had not been the Lord, this could never have happened." I do not only want to work a miracle for you, I want my intervention to become the very evidence that causes your faith to rise stronger than ever. I want you to know that when I act, I do so in a way that only I can, not by human strength, not by luck, not by your calculations, but by my sovereign will. But you must understand that all of this will only unfold at my perfect time, not according to the schedule you sketch out in your impatience. My timing is never late, but it is also never earlier than what is truly good for your soul. If I were to give you what you ask for before your spirit is ready, it could become a burden rather than a blessing. If I open the door too soon, you might step into something your heart is not yet strong enough to carry. There are things you believe would bring you peace if only you had them. But I know that you will only be truly secure when you build your life on me, not on the things you desire to attain. Therefore, I delay not because you are wrong, but because I am making you right. I pause not to strip you of hope, but to keep your hope from resting on fragile foundations that easily crumble. I let you wait not to punish you, but to protect you, not to wound you, but to prepare you to step into what you are not yet mature enough to receive. That is why I ask you for patience and trust, because it is precisely in waiting, while still believing that your soul is trained to become purer, deeper, and stronger. True faith does not need evidence to believe, it only needs me. True faith knows that, though circumstances change, I do not, though you lose your bearings, I still know the way, though you see no way out. I am still making a way in the darkness. When you hold on to faith, even when you see nothing change, you are setting your feet upon an unshakable rock. It is that very kind of faith that shakes heaven, the faith that does not demand understanding, does not demand explanations, does not demand immediate answers, but only rests in knowing that I am your Father, and you do not realize that every time you choose to trust instead of despair, to be patient instead of rushing, to follow me instead of chasing your emotions, you are pushing darkness back from your soul. The doors that such faith opens are not ordinary doors. They are doors that lead you into your true calling, into restoration you did not even know you needed, into relationships with purpose, into territories where you will say, "Never have I felt the Lord so near." You will clearly see the difference between what you do by yourself and what I do, between results born of human effort and results that come from the orchestrations of heaven. Every door you think is sealed shut, if I have ordained it to open, will swing wide at a moment you do not expect. Everything you believe has slipped from your grasp, I can restore in a way that is better, more beautiful, and greater than anything you have imagined. You will experience interventions that only those willing to wait in trust are allowed to witness. For when your faith rises above circumstances, no longer grounded in what your eyes can see, but in me, that is when the supernatural begins to move. So then, my child, keep on believing. Keep standing firm. Keep guarding your patience. I do not promise that you will escape every difficult season, but I do promise that in every season you will never walk alone. I am the one who defends you, who fights for you, who restores what life has taken from you. I am the one who sees potential in you, even when all you can see is your exhaustion. I am the one who can call life out of what seems dead and restore what you believed was lost forever. And I am the one who will make a way for you, not because you are strong enough, but because I am your Father. Let your heart be anchored in this truth. What I do for you will always be more beautiful, greater, and more enduring than anything you could build by your own strength. You only need to keep trusting me, walking with me, and keeping your heart open to my intervention. For what I have begun in you, I will bring to completion in my perfect time. My child, listen slowly and deeply, as if every movement of the world has paused just so you can hear the heartbeat of my love for you. The faith I have planted in your heart is not a timid spark afraid of the wind, but a flame that can consume the night around you if you will allow me to breathe my life into it. When you believe, it is not only your hands that are lifted to touch the miraculous, your entire soul is drawn into the realm where I am working things far beyond your understanding. You think I perform miracles only in noisy places where people can clearly see the results. But in truth, the greatest victories I grant you lie deep within your spirit, where I turn worries into peace, fractures into fertile ground for hope to grow, and the weeping of the long night into the song of the morning. And you will come to see that not every victory is measured by what can be seen. Some victories are measured by the ease in your soul, by the ability to lay your burdens down without fear of loss, by the quiet trust that I am still at work even when you feel nothing at all. I have never given you anything shallow, short-lived, or meant merely to satisfy your passing wishes. I am not like the world applauding you today but turning its back on you tomorrow, offering you fame but taking away your peace, giving you a momentary joy yet leaving behind a long, aching emptiness. When I place something in your hands, I place with it truth, wisdom, strength to keep it, and the maturity not to be broken by it. I give you things that can touch your eternity, that can change the way you see yourself, see others, and see me. I desire your spirit to shine like a lamp in the night, so steady that even storms cannot put it out, because that light does not come from your own strength, but from the inexhaustible source of life in me. When you let me be Lord of your life, you will see that even the things you call delays are transformed into perfect arrangements once I reveal my purpose in my time. You do not need to be confused about time, for I am not bound by days and years. You do not need to be troubled about methods, for I am not limited by your calculations. You do not need to fix your eyes on the obstacles before you, for I can turn high mountains into level paths if that lies within the plan I have drawn. I know there are times when you are so anxious that your heart feels squeezed tight, when your eyes grow dim because of fears you dare not speak aloud. But my child, faith is the bridge that carries you out of that darkness. When you look to me instead of staring at the problem, you will see the very nature of the storm begin to change instead of swallowing you. It becomes proof that I am drawing near. Just as Peter walked on the water when his eyes were fixed on me, you too will stand firm if you place your gaze in the right place. But if you fix your heart on the clamor of negative thoughts, you will find yourself sinking not because I am far away, but because you have allowed voices that are not from me to drown out my voice within you. Do not let yourself be led by anxiety or by those weary thoughts that whisper you are alone. I did not create you to live under the weight of fear, doubt, or a sense of unworthiness. I call you into true freedom, freedom from invisible pressures, from old sins, from heavy expectations the world insists you must bear. You are my child, and where you truly belong is in my presence, where everything you need is found: growth, rest, understanding, and the courage to keep walking even when the road ahead is not yet clear. Come back to me again and again, even when your heart feels tangled like a knotted thread, even when you do not understand why things are happening as they are. You do not need an explanation for me to love you. You only need to return. I remain your God, regardless of how your emotions fluctuate from day to day, regardless of all the turmoil around you, regardless of every judgment spoken by people. You often think I am moved by emotions, but I am moved by truth. And the truth about you is this: no matter how small you may feel, you are still cradled within my plan, no matter how lost you may feel. As if you no longer know where you are going, you are still held in my hand, no matter how weak you may feel. To the point you think you cannot rise again, I still care for you as though you were the most precious treasure among all created things. I never take my eyes off you, not for a single moment. Every breath you take is noticed by me. Every sob of your heart reaches mine. I do not leave you to swim alone in the ocean of life without a lifeline. I do not let you wander in a forest of despair without a guiding light. I, myself, am that light. And as long as you lift your eyes to me, the darkness will never have the right to swallow you, even if the enemy screams right in front of you. My voice is still stronger, deeper, reaching farther, and holding greater authority. It may try to frighten you, to remind you of your past, to push you into the worst thoughts about yourself. But it has no right to write the final chapter of your story. It may hold out lies like sharp blades, but my word is the shield that protects you. It may try to convince you that you have been abandoned, but I tell you clearly, I have never left you. Not even for a second. Even if some people turn their backs on you because they do not understand you, or because their lives are too busy to see the deep value within you, I remain faithful. I still stand here, arms wide open, waiting for you to come home. You do not need to fight for anyone's acceptance, because I granted you acceptance long before you knew how to speak, to walk, to love, or to fear. I loved you when you did not yet know how to name love. And my child, even if everything around you seems to be collapsing, even if you see the things you hoped for fail to come to pass, even if the plans you drew up dissolve into nothingness, my word does not change, it does not soften, it does not weaken, it does not twist according to circumstances. My word is life for your spirit, water for your weary soul, a hidden stream powerfully watering the seemingly dead fields within you. When I speak something over your life, it is not temporary, it is eternal. I say you are loved, this remains eternally true. I say you are chosen, no one can take that from you. I say you have a purpose and no one has the right to destroy that purpose. I say you will be restored, and that restoration begins the very moment you choose to trust me again, even if it is with the last bit of strength you feel you have. That is why I want you to walk not in panic, but in the awareness that I am walking with you. When you know I am beside you, fear grows smaller. When you know I am holding your hand, you no longer tremble before small upheavals. When you know I am the one who holds authority over the entire universe, you no longer feel lost in the vast current of life. You become a free person, free from the weight of your own expectations, free from the judgments of others, free from the lies that darkness once sowed into your heart. And in that freedom, your soul will rediscover its true voice, a voice that is clear, at peace, not trembling, not despairing. You will know that your journey has never been left to blind fate. It has always been in my hands, the hands of one who does not make mistakes. My child, I want you to take a deep breath and let every word I speak flow into the tenderest places of your heart. Because I know right now you are walking among ruins you never chose. I see that fragile glimmer in your eyes every time you ask yourself, do I still have any strength left? I see the nights when you lie still, listening to your own heart tighten in fear that you will not be able to rise again one more time. But my child, do not let those painful moments deceive you into thinking the future is fading away. No. The wounds you are facing now are not the final definition of your life. They are only fragments of a temporary season that my own hand will bring to an end. Do not tremble before what is temporary, for it has no right to dictate your path and no authority to speak the last word over your life. You have gone through more than you yourself realize, and in every slow step, every heavy breath, I see an extraordinary endurance that even you have never learned to name. Listen to me, this season of brokenness is only a pause, not a destination. You may feel it is long. You may feel it is raw and painful, but it is not allowed to take over your whole life, and I do not permit it to do so. There are seasons when I allow you to walk through darkness not because I want you to be afraid, but because in that silence you learn to hear my voice more clearly than ever. When the things you once leaned on collapse, you finally see which foundation can truly hold you up. You think you are lost, but in reality you are being led out of old paths that could never have brought you to the place I have prepared. You think you have lost everything, but in truth I am leading you to a place where you cannot carry those old burdens any longer. I do not allow loss in your life to leave you empty. I allow loss so that you do not go on living beneath the true calling I have given you. And I want you to believe this with all your weary heart. What I am preparing for you is not only greater than what you have asked for, it goes far beyond anything your mind has ever dared to imagine. You only see your limitations, but I see the design I planted in you before you even knew how to name your own dreams. You only see the small, difficult steps of today, but I see a future full of light toward which each of your steps is quietly moving. If I ask you to wait, it is not because I am careless or slow, but because you need to be shaped and strengthened to bear what I am about to entrust to you. If I allow you to go through trials, it is not because you lack blessing, but because you are being forged so you will not collapse under the weight of the blessing to come. I never do anything halfway. My child, everything I write into your life has its appointed time, its purpose, and a meaning that reaches far beyond what your eyes can see right now. You think I am standing far away, but every step you take is within my sight. Not a single tear you shed falls without my remembering it. Not a single sigh escapes you that I overlook. Not a single moment of fatigue passes that I fail to notice. Even the smallest things, the tiny worries, the thoughts you consider unimportant, I still see them. I know every hidden battle inside you, the quiet struggles you share with no one, the moments when you whisper to yourself, "Everything will be okay," while you yourself can hardly believe your own words. I am present in each of those moments, not as a distant observer, but as a father placing his hand on the shoulder of a child who is trembling in the storm. As much as you hurt, I know it all. As much as you push yourself to keep going, I see it completely. Amid all the noise around you, I hear the silence within you that is louder than any scream. It is precisely that silence, the place where you cannot put your exhaustion into words, that draws my touch most deeply. I see the weariness covering your soul like a heavy mist, making it hard for you to breathe, even when there is no storm outside. I know you are trying to stand upright, to hold your smile, to act as though you are fine, because you are afraid others will worry, afraid of becoming a burden, afraid your failures will be exposed. But I see through every layer of calm you put on. I see how one half of your heart feels ready to collapse, while the other half clings to the last threads of hope. You do not realize that this very thing is what makes you stronger, not strong because you do not feel pain, but strong because you refuse to let that pain defeat your soul. And my child, I want you to hear a truth you have long forgotten. The fact that you feel pain is not a sign of weakness. The truth is that the strong are sometimes the ones who know most clearly what deep pain feels like. The resilient are not those who never fall, but those who always find a way to rise again, no matter how torn their hearts may be. Pain does not turn you into a failure. It only proves that you are truly living, truly loving, truly daring to face what many would rather run away from than confront. It is your silent endurance that I see every day as proof that within you there is a capacity to bear far more than you think you have. There were pains you thought you would not live through. Yet here you are, still standing, still walking, still breathing, and I am more proud of that than of anything else. Ask yourself, how could a weak heart have passed through so many trials without shattering completely? It is because I have held it for you. Not because you were strong enough to stand firm, but because I have always been right there to uphold you when you had no strength left. Not because you were clever enough to find the way out, but because I have shone light on the path whenever the darkness left you blind. Not because you are so good at enduring, but because my grace has covered every breath you take, even when you do not recognize it. You do not exist alone on this journey. If I allow you to walk through pain, I am at the same time giving you new strength so that you do not collapse. You are not just surviving, you are being formed, reshaped, strengthened, and carried in ways you have never imagined. Let me say this to you once more, so that it is engraved into the very depths of your soul. You are not weak. You are learning to become strong in a different way, a strength that comes from surrender, from stepping into my arms instead of trying to shoulder more on your own. You are strong because you feel deeply. You are strong because you still seek me, even when your heart is full of wounds. You are strong because you do not give up. You do not run away from me. You do not let your heart turn to stone, even when the pain so often goes beyond what you think you can bear. You are strong because you belong to me, and those who belong to me never have to live under the label of failure. This season of testing is not your destiny. It is only a chapter, and this chapter will also close. I know it feels long to you, but it is short within the greater story I am writing. Stand firm a little longer. Do not let go of my hand. What I am preparing for you surpasses everything you have asked for, is greater than anything you have imagined, and more beautiful than all you have ever dared to dream. You have not lost everything. You are being prepared to receive what, if I had given it earlier, you would not have had the strength to carry. Be persevering. Breathe deeply. Lean into me. For the chapter that is coming will no longer be colored by pain. It will be full of light, full of renewal, full of the goodness I have kept in store, reserved especially for you, my child. There are times you look around and feel as though all your prayers have drifted into emptiness, as if nothing is moving, nothing is changing, and you begin to think that I have slowed down or even stopped answering you. But, my child, even when you have not yet seen anything happening, the answer has already been set in motion, like a seed lying still in the soil, working in ways the human eye cannot see. There are things I arrange that your limited mind cannot grasp in an instant. You see only the surface of today. While I see the whole picture, I see the starting point and the very place where you will one day rest, when wounds that have not yet healed still mark your soul. You tend to see everything through the hazy smoke of hurt, so everything becomes distorted, heavy, stripped of its original meaning. It is easy for you to conclude that silence means abandonment. Delay means refusal. Waiting means losing out, because you are judging everything through the emotions of today's pain. But I do not move according to the lens of your pain. I move according to the plan of eternity, where everything is placed in its right position, where every tear you shed carries weight in a story far deeper than you can now see. I want you to know that behind the curtain you see is a great work that I am patiently carrying on. Whether you recognize it or not, when you sigh and say, "Lord, nothing is changing at all," it is precisely in that moment, in the unseen realm, that I am touching the deepest places in your heart, the places no one can reach, not even you yourself. I do not pay attention only to outward things like work, finances, open doors, relationships, I watch over every smallest movement in your mind, in your thoughts, in the way you see yourself and the way you see me. The change I am bringing about is not the loud, showy kind that is easy to display before others. It is a quiet renewal that makes you more mature, more gentle, more loving, more trusting, more able to stand firm when storms arise. There are times you ask me to change the situation, but I quietly begin by changing you. Because if you are not reshaped from within, then even if everything outside you changes, you will soon find yourself in the same old weariness. I love you too much to give you only quick fixes. I give you a transformation that makes you into someone different from who you once were, deeper, steadier, freer. What I am doing in you is like the work of a potter with a lump of clay. From the outside, it can look like nothing more than the dizzying spin of the wheel. The same motions repeating over and over, monotonous and unremarkable. But in the potter's hands, a whole form is being shaped. You look at your own life and think you are spinning in circles through the same kinds of days, the same seemingly endless cycles with no way out. Yet, in my hands, every turn of the wheel has a purpose. I am skimming off what is unnecessary, pressing in on the misshapen places, lifting up what has sunk low because of wounds, and moistening what has grown dry because you have had to be strong on your own for too long. Every season of waiting is not meaningless. Every moment you feel lost is not ignored. I gather all of it to create a depth in your soul that no easy lesson could ever bring. When I complete a phase of this shaping, you will see that you are no longer the fearful child you once were, and no longer someone easily swept away by fleeting emotions. You will discover within yourself a new stillness, a new solidity, and you yourself will be surprised, because you will know it did not come from your own strength. But my child, these deep things are not born in a single moment. They require time, a journey, and your consent, so that I can work in your life in a full and complete way. I am not the one who is in a hurry, nor am I slow in the way you usually understand. I am the one who moves in the right rhythm, the right season, the precise moment that best serves your eternal good. If I were to answer everything according to the schedule you desire, you might be happy for a short while, but your soul would not have enough time to grow to hold what you receive. I wait for you to learn surrender, to let your heart stop struggling, to give up the need to control every storyline, to trust me even when there is no visible evidence before your eyes. Along that journey, I am also teaching you perseverance in prayer, in expectation, in clinging to my word instead of clinging to your emotions. Every day you choose to trust me once again, even when you still see nothing, is a day when the roots of your faith sink deeper into me. I have allowed your life to have long stretches of quiet, not so that you will think I have left the room, but so that you can recognize my voice more clearly amid the thousand others. When everything around you is loud, the opinions of family, the advice of friends, the pressure of work, the comparisons on social media, the expectations of relatives, the standards of society, your soul can so easily be pulled in different directions until you no longer know which voice is mine. That is why, at times, I deliberately lower the volume of your circumstances so that there is only that open space between you and me, where you are compelled to stop, compelled to face yourself, compelled to learn to listen from within. That silence frightens you, because you have grown accustomed to moving in the constant spin of activity, noise, and back-to-back plans. Yet it is precisely in stillness that you hear what I whisper into the depths of your spirit. I use the days when it seems nothing is happening to help you discern which voice truly carries life and which voices bring only anxiety, haste, and condemnation. That experience will become a priceless treasure. Because once you have learned to recognize my voice in the quiet, you will no longer be tossed about by the noise of life as you once were. I have never called you to live under the weight of other people's glances, comments, or judgments. Nor have I demanded that you strain yourself to meet standards I have never placed upon your life. Many times you are exhausted not because the load I gave you is too heavy, but because you have piled onto it all kinds of demands from the outside. You must succeed in this way. You must be capable in that way. You must make others pleased with you. You must never show weakness. You forget that I did not call you to be a slave to performance, but invited you to be free in love. I did not tell you to be perfect before coming to me, but I invite you to come to me right in the unfinished, messy place where you are. When you live to please everyone, you will always be lacking, because there is no limit to human expectations. But when you live to please me, you will find a deep lightness in your soul, because I know who you are. I understand you. I know how far you can go in a given season. I set you free from the pressure to keep the world happy so that you can focus on the most important thing, walking closely with me, letting me lead each step in my light. Remember, what I am building is not just a few open doors in your present, but a heart that knows how to trust, a life deeply rooted in my love. The answer you are waiting for will come, in the best way and at the best time. But in the meantime, a work even more precious is taking place. It is the journey in which you learn to hold my hand. Whether the road is dim or bright, when you look back, you will realize that it was precisely the seasons of silence, delay, and waiting that made the relationship between you and me more real than ever. And then, you will no longer ask, "Why are you so slow, Lord?" But you will be able to say, "Thank you that you did not only change my circumstances, but also changed me." My child, there are chains that make no sound, that have no shape, that leave no mark on your wrists or ankles, yet they are strong enough to hold you in a place where you were never meant to belong. They are not cold iron bars, but the false feeling that you must somehow make yourself worthy, the fear that if you fail just one more time, others will abandon you, the thought that your value depends on what you manage to do or fail to do. I see those chains wrapped around your soul, light as silk, yet clinging like steel, causing you again and again to lose your joy, to lose your freedom, to lose even the right way of seeing yourself. I do not blame you for letting them bind you. I know you grew up in a world that is always demanding, always comparing, always pushing you into a race that has no finish line. But I will not consent to you living your whole life in that prison, because I am the one who has called you out of darkness, not so that you would continue to stand inside invisible cages you do not even recognize. You do not know how many times you have spent the whole night thinking about things you were never meant to carry, how many times you have blamed yourself for small mistakes, for what is already past, for what you cannot change. You accuse yourself more harshly than anyone else ever has. But my child, there are things you call responsibility that are, in truth, burdens that do not belong to you. There are fears you think are realistic that are nothing more than the echo of painful years. There are expectations you label duty that are, in fact, pressures that do not come from me. I do not place on your shoulders any expectation that makes you shrink back, afraid to breathe. What I desire is always simple, that you walk as someone who knows they are loved, chosen, and sheltered. Yet because you have lived so long in comparison, you have judged yourself by a measuring stick that never stops changing, and it has left you feeling inadequate all the time. I see how your heart grows heavy every time you step into a room full of people you think are better than you. I see your tears in the night when you think about all the things you have not yet done, I hear every sigh when you try to become the version of yourself that the world wants, though deep in your soul, you know that is not who you truly are. That is why I tell you now that I am breaking those chains. One by one, not with hammer blows or blazing fire, but with the gentle truth I whisper into your soul. I show you the moments you thought were steps backward, when in reality, they were the very times I turned you around to face the right direction. Every time you see a door close, you tend to think it is a sign of the end. But I want you to understand that not everything that breaks is a loss. Some things must fall apart so that something better can appear. Just as a seed cannot sprout unless its shell is willing to crack open. You feel pain not because I want you to suffer. You feel pain because what is old is being separated from you so you can belong to what is newer, healthier, and more enduring. I know you fear change, especially when you cannot see the future ahead. But I also know that if I do not act, you will keep standing in a land that no longer nourishes your soul. Sometimes you say to me, "Father, I feel like too much is being taken from me." But you do not realize that there are things which, if I do not remove them, will quietly drain the life out of you without your noticing. I never take anything from you without giving you something better in return. I never leave you alone in emptiness. I create space not to abandon you in a desert, but to prepare fresh soil for the seeds I am about to sow. There are seasons when your heart is cleared out so thoroughly that you think there is nothing left, yet it is precisely in that bareness that you begin to discover who you really are when all the layers have been stripped away. You learn to recognize my voice among the many other whispers. You discover that you do not need to wear a mask before me. And when you are that honest, I can touch places in you that you never allowed anyone to reach before. You tend to see pruning as a sign of weakness, but I want you to know that pruning is proof that you are being cared for. I am the gardener, and I do not allow any vine to grow in a direction that will cause it to wither. What I cut away is not the best part of you, it is the branches that have dried up, the parts that have passed their time. The connections you thought were essential but that in reality only throw you off balance. You do not like the feeling of being cut back, I understand. Every adjustment hurts, because it touches the places you have leaned on for so long. But my child, no one wants their tree to merely survive. Everyone wants it to bear fruit. So do I. I do not want you just to exist. I want you to bear the fruit of holy joy, enduring peace, fresh vitality, and steadfast faith. For that to happen, what is useless must be cleared away. What is false must be removed, and what bears no good fruit must be uprooted. There are things I am taking out of your life that you still do not understand. You see them as good. You see them as familiar. You see that they once gave you a sense of safety. But I see beneath the surface what you have never seen, the hidden risks, the dark corners, the silent pains waiting to erupt. And because I love you, I cannot let you follow a path that will eventually lead to your collapse. Many times I close a door not because you have done anything wrong, but because I am protecting what is right that is growing inside you. You cannot see it, but I see it clearly. You do not realize it, but I am doing all of this for you, even when you see only loss. I already see restoration drawing near. When you think a chapter of your life has ended, I am preparing to write the next one with things you have never dared to dream of. When you say, "Lord, I am finished," I say, "You are only beginning." And you will see that what I say is true once you have walked all the way through this season. You will see that the things you thought had been cut off are the very places where new light breaks in. You will see that what I keep for you is always better than what you try to keep for yourself. You will see that you are stronger after every time you rise again, and more mature after every experience that seemed to be a loss. So do not be afraid when I clear the field of your life. Do not be alarmed when the old things are taken away. Do not think that I am punishing you. On the contrary, you are tasting the depth of my mercy. I am preparing the ground for things you have never seen before. I am leveling the stones that keep making you stumble. I am pulling up the poisonous roots you never knew were draining your life. And I am sowing into your days seeds that carry eternal weight, steadfastness, a mature faith, a pure heart, and a hope that never fades. Let me keep working within you. Believe that everything I remove is carried away in love. Understand that every rearrangement is a step bringing you closer to what I have ordained. And rejoice that you do not have to be the one who cleanses that field. I am the one who does it. You need only allow me to do my part. And there is only one thing you must do: remain still in my arms, so that I may complete the work I have begun in your life. My child, listen to me now, and let your heart lean on every word I am gently placing in the depths of your soul. You are struggling to make sense of everything with your mind, trying to find a pattern, trying to force all things to fit into human logic. But there are realities of the heavenly realm that cannot be explained by earthly reasoning. Do not forget that I am the one who created the whole universe, and everything I do goes far beyond your understanding. When you try to find explanations based only on what your eyes can see and your ears can hear, you will remain trapped inside your own limits, and you will easily conclude that what is happening goes against what is right, against what you expected, when in truth, everything is held within a design far more perfect than you imagine. There are things that, at first glance, seem upside down, and from close up feel impossible to understand. Yet when you are able to look back from my vantage point, from the place where time and space lie beneath my feet, you will see that the events which once seemed meaningless were actually crucial steps on the path I am leading you along. You are looking at delay and assuming it is a sign that I do not care. You see doors closing and you interpret them as rejection. You see long days without change and assume your prayers have gone unheard. But my child, delay is never a sign of refusal. It is heaven's way of preparing you. I never postpone in order to punish. I postpone in order to arrange, to refine, to soften what is hardened in you, and to enlarge what has become too narrow to contain what I am about to give. You only see the surface of your circumstances, but I see all the way down to the roots, to the hidden connections that touch your life in ways you do not see. And because I know that deep transformation is what you need more than quick answers, I choose to work in silence so that you will not be distracted by outward signs. In the time when you think nothing is happening, I have been tirelessly at work. I am clearing your path of things you cannot discern, relationships that look good but would lead you astray, opportunities that seem attractive but are not meant for you, thoughts you think are harmless but are slowly choking your spirit. I am removing the wrong pieces so I can set in place the ones I have prepared. You do not see me move because I am not noisy. I work in quietness, yet never without power. You only hear my footsteps when I want you to know it is me. But most of the time I act in stillness because I know that if you saw everything, you would be so afraid that you would not dare to go on. My silence has never meant absence. It is simply the way I shield you from your own inner turmoil and from empty echoes that could distort the discernment I am forming within you. My child, I have never wanted your life to be nothing more than days drifting by without purpose, simply getting through time, strong only when things are easy and collapsing whenever the winds begin to rise. I formed you to live a whole life, not under the oppression of old fears, not strangled by the forced expectations of this world, not imprisoned in the memories of the mistakes you once made. I long for you to be truly free, free in your mind, free in your soul, free in the calling I planted in you even before you knew yourself. I want you to live fully in the purpose I breathed into your life. If I must break down a door to open the right way, if I must stop you in order to protect you from what you cannot yet see, if I must lengthen the season to train your soul, It is all for you, for your future, for the wholeness I desire you to step into. And my child, do not blame yourself for your stumblings. Do not torture yourself over mistakes that have passed. Do not look at your life through the dark seasons and conclude that you are unworthy of anything good. I have never measured you by your failures. I have never defined you by your past. If I used the past to determine your value, no one in this world could stand before me. But I love you with an unconditional love. A love that reaches beyond every moment of weakness, every moment of doubt, every time you fall and sit in disappointment. I do not look at you through the lens of your faults. I look at you through every attempt you make to stand up again. Even if it is only by a single breath, I see you through the tears you try to hold back, through the prayers you whisper when you no longer have the strength to pray. Let me remind you of something you are forgetting. Your value does not lie in what you can accomplish, but in the one who has carried you through every storm. You are not the sum of your mistakes, nor are you the product of your failures. You are the one I have chosen to love, to keep, to lead, and to protect. You are considered precious not because you are strong, but because you belong to me. Every time you fell, I lifted you up. Every time you ran out of strength, I gave you just enough breath to go on. Every time you lost your way, I turned you back by signs you did not even notice. Do not look at yourself through the eyes of people. Look at yourself through my gaze. If you knew what I think about you, you would never again speak a word of condemnation over yourself. You would see a courageous child, a soul maturing through each trial. A person who is not perfect yet so loved that nothing can separate you from the love I have for you. You would see your worth written by my very breath, not by anyone's opinion, and you would understand that what is coming is not a reward because you are worthy in the eyes of the world, but a gift of grace because you are my child. My child, I want you to breathe deeply and believe that I am doing something new in your life, even though right now you do not see it. Do not hear it, cannot yet touch it. It is drawing near. I am bringing you through this season not for you to return to who you were, but for you to step into a version of yourself that is stronger, gentler, deeper, and more alive. Keep walking, even slowly, but walk in trust, for what I am preparing for you will make you realize that not a single tear you have shed was wasted. Not a single prayer you have uttered disappeared into emptiness, and not a single moment of your waiting has been in vain. Let me take your hand and lead you through each confusing thing, for I am bringing you to a place where your reason cannot open the door, but your faith will. You are not passing through this season alone. You are passing through in my arms, the arms of the one who knew the way long before you took your first step. And what I am about to do, you will know it is from me, because nothing on earth can bring about such deep restoration. You only need to believe and remain in me, for you are about to step into a new chapter, more radiant than anything you have ever imagined. And now, my beloved child, open wide your heart and offer to me the most honest petitions from the depths of your soul, so that your voice may blend with the breath of the Spirit that I am placing upon you. Dear Father, I come before you with a heart still bearing scars, with steps that sometimes tremble because of the seasons I have had to walk through. Please, you who know everything taking place within my spirit, touch the places where I am weak, heal the areas I have hidden, and raise up the parts of me that have grown weary under doubt and fear. Breathe new life into my heart so that I may be restored, may stand firm, and may place my hope in your strength instead of relying on my own limited efforts. Father, teach me to be patient in the moments of silence, to trust when I cannot see the way, to rest when everything around me is in turmoil. I surrender all my worries, all my plans, and all my weaknesses into your hands. for only in you do I find true peace. Father, please receive me in the truest state of who I am, not the strong image I try to create, but the child in need of your comfort and support. You know exactly how I have strained to hold myself together, how many things I have kept in silence, how many times I have held back my heart so as not to collapse. Please do not let me keep walking alone through inner battles no one else understands. Draw me closer to you, that I may learn to release control, that I may know I do not always have to have the answers. I only need to know how to lean on you. Father, touch my spirit and bring it back to life by the wondrous power of your love. Father, please silence the voices that make my heart uneasy, the words of accusation I speak to myself each day, and the thoughts that convince me I am unworthy to be heard by you. Restore to me the peace that was stolen, and help me recognize that my worth comes from you, not from how others see me. Grant me spiritual eyes to see your ordering even in closed doors, so that I no longer mistake loss for failure, but understand it as your loving protection. May you create in me a tender heart, willing to receive your correction without resistance, without despair, but with a hope that waits for the marvelous intervention of heaven. Father, please lay your hand upon the places in me that have dried up from sorrow, that have grown calloused through seasons of testing, and that are exhausted from trying to hold everything up for too long. Pour into me a fresh stream of living water so that my soul may be revived like dry ground meeting the rain. Do not let me judge myself by what I have not yet accomplished, but by the countless times you have taken hold of me when I was about to collapse. Father, help me step out of comparison, so that I may learn to live fully in the calling you have placed on my life. Teach me to see my life through your eyes, where no failure is meaningless and not a single tear is wasted. Loving God, I thank you that not for a single moment do your eyes leave me. Whether I am confused or weak, I know that without your keeping, I would have fallen long ago. I thank you for all the times I could not see you at work and yet you were moving behind the scenes of my life. I am grateful that every promise of yours never changes and that your love does not depend on my achievements. Thank you for seeing me as your precious child and not as a failure. Father, source of all peace, I am grateful for the times you have closed doors I did not understand, in order to keep me from things that could have wounded me deeply. I thank you for every season of pruning which, though painful, has helped me grow and become more genuine. I thank you for taking away what did not belong to me so that you could place something better there. Thank you for turning my gray and overcast days into mornings of hope. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.